Hey, this is Roger Martin for Village, Montana. This is Fox News, and this is pretty accurate. I like this.
Schools using their Spanish skills to stand out on last night's debate stage.
The Hispanic vote matters a lot. Will this help them get it? So how was it perceived? Let's ask Florida GOP Senator Marco Rubio. Senator, you saw the segue. I know you watched last night. You saw the segue to Spanish by at least 3 candidates. Is that effective in the Hispanic community as you know it?
Bueno, primero, muchas gracias por tenerme hoy con ustedes.
Am I watching Univision?
Oh, sorry, wrong network. But look, I think that the problem is they didn't have answers to real problems. They didn't have an answer in English. They didn't have an answer in Spanish. They did the border crisis. Okay, you've got children. You saw this tragic picture a couple days ago of a father and a daughter who drowned. It's very sad what's happening. It's terrible. But the solution to their problems is not that dangerous journey. These guys tell you, they want to decriminalize crossing the border. They're fighting us now on providing more money to take care of people that are already here. They don't want to do anything about the laws that are actually luring people here. But they don't have any answers for how to fix it. They don't have any answers for how to fix it. They didn't have an answer in English. They don't have an answer in Spanish. And by the way, I find...
All right, so he says they don't have any real answers about the border, and they're fighting the Republicans on solutions. Sounds very political. Unfortunately, it's not the way to get things solved or done. So, what is the answer? The answer is working together on real solutions, and they're not providing that. So, bad news for us.
Not a single question was asked, and not a single candidate tried to interject anything about Latin America, not about Cuba, not about the crisis and terrible tragedy in Venezuela, or the horrible things that are happening in Nicaragua. I think it tells you they just honestly don't care or aren't comfortable talking about those issues. Well, I thought that was enlightening.
Well, in the meantime, we're actually looking to the Congress to provide some support and some relief with an emergency spending bill. I know that the House, led by Nancy Pelosi a couple of days ago, passed what's being referred to as a poison pill bill because there's nothing for Republicans or the president in there. Meanwhile, there's a bipartisan bill that's passed the Senate. So what's going to happen next before you guys leave town?
Yeah, I know this is pretty elementary, but in order to make a bill pass, you got to have it pass identical in the House and Senate, and the president will sign it. The only bill that meets that criteria is the bipartisan bill that we passed out of the Senate. Now, understand, we have some people out there in the House and a few in the Senate, a few on that stage last night or tonight, who are basically criticizing the administration for not treating the people and the children who are being held appropriately. But at the same time, they're saying, oh, and by the way, we're not going to give you any more money to treat them better. So it's an incredibly hypocritical position to take. It's reached the point that even the New York Times is writing editorials about how that's an unsustainable position for Democrats. My hope is that the leadership in the House will realize they can't keep caving to these radical left-wing members and finally pass the bill the Senate has sent over to them so we can provide at least the humanitarian funds.
But, Senator, obviously we need money for humanitarian efforts, but why isn't Congress doing anything to address the drivers of illegal immigration?
Well, I wish we could. I mean, it takes, 60 votes in the Senate. It takes a majority in the House. They're not interested in it.
Why
For
not
example,
push the
asylum
fight?
laws. Well, we are. We're trying, and we'll try, and we'll keep trying, and we've tried in the past. But and in terms of, it's the fundamental challenge that we face when we don't control the House and we don't have enough votes in the Senate to pass this. You're right about 3 things. What are the drivers? Number one, the conditions in these Northern Triangle countries that need to be addressed. It's easy to say, let's just throw more money at it. Those countries over there have capacity problems with what to do with that money. They're having riots right now in Honduras over political instability. They have an election that's not being questioned by some in Guatemala. In El Salvador, they elected a new president, and he's a young guy. Hopefully he can turn things around. That's one part of it. But the other is we have laws that are basically inviting people to do this. When somebody makes the journey, they call back home, hey, I made it, that encourages more people to do it and to bring their kids with them, or sometimes to send their kids with a stranger. And we have laws that are luring people into this dangerous journey, and that has to be fixed. I'm ready to do that right now.
Right, I would hope so. Lindsey Graham drew something up. There was some word about Dick Durbin working with him on something bipartisan. Has that gotten to Marco Rubio's desk?
Yeah, no, I'll support those changes, and I think it would be great if we can
Are
make
they
those
in the
changes
works?
immediately.
Are they
Yeah,
in
the
the-
law, the language is out there, and you present it in a bill, but you've got people on that stage last night that not only are against that, they want to actually decriminalize the act of illegally entering the country. So not only do they not want to do that, they actually want to make it even more appealing for people to enter the country illegally. This is not an anti-immigrant thing. You know, we admit 1 million people a year into this country legally and permanently, more than anybody else does. They become permanent residents, and many go on to become citizens. This has to do with, are we going to have laws or not have laws on who can come in, how you come in, and when you come in? And if you're going to have laws but you don't enforce them, you don't have those laws. And their argument is, yes, have laws, but ignore the laws. And that's a ridiculous position, and it's contributed heavily to this crisis.
Well, the Democrats now agree with the Republicans that there is a crisis on our southern border, but they would like to simply address the humanitarian issue, whereas the Republicans...
Anyhow, the more fundamental part of this is, are we going to obey and reinforce the laws, or are we just going to play more games and decrease the legalization and power of our laws? This is a scary, scary position to be in, and we should not be doing it.
would like to address border security and the whatnot, and humanitarian.
Yeah, well, they don't agree with. They agree that they agree there's a crisis, but for them, the crisis is not that thousands and thousands of people are coming here with their children illegally. The crisis is that we're not allowing them to just walk in, sign a paper, and stay. That's the crisis for them. And what they don't understand is that if we did what they wanted, the numbers of people coming could potentially double. That is what they are advocating. That is the radical position that they've taken. It's a dangerous position, way outside the mainstream, frankly, inconsistent with the Obama administration and what they did just a few years ago.
As you said, they want to decriminalize coming into our country illegal. And they actually have they feel as though they have momentum behind it.
Well, how does that play with legal immigrants?
Well, first of all, it doesn't. I mean, look, everybody feels sad for what we're seeing, okay? I understand somebody's in danger, you know, they're frightened, they're desperate, their loved one is already living here and they want to be reunited. We all understand the human side of it. We do. But policymaking is about our national interest. What country in the world could possibly have a law that says you can come here, anyone who wants to come can come here, all we ask you to do is sign a paper. I know we may have a law that says you're not supposed to do it, but we're not going to do anything about that law. You know what that's going to happen? You're going to quadruple the number of people making that dangerous journey. And how is that good for these countries, by the way? How is that good for these people? How could the answer to their problem be undertake a dangerous journey in the hands of human traffickers where you may drown on the way in? How is that the answer to their problem? And they have no answer. You saw last night, they're good at criticizing, but not a single one of them in either English or Spanish had a solution on what they would do on day one.
All right. Marco Rubio, who knows so much about the...
All right, let's close it here. Serious problem with people and their ability to really do what's right.